For joining us once again is Andrew Slack. That's right, Slack is back. Andrew is a teacher, social organizer, and human rights activist, a comedian, an actor, and a writer. He is the founder of the Harry Potter Alliance, whose motto, "The weapon we have is love," and he is one of the guiding brains behind the My Hunger Games campaign. Andrew, thanks for joining us again.
Oh, it's my pleasure, RJ.
Listen, so let's start with this. Well, a couple of things I want to talk to you about, but let's start with this new Hunger Games movie out. And I want to talk to you about the plot, by the way. But before we get to any of that, chance to revive the My Hunger Games campaign. Tell us a little bit about it, because I think it's kind of cool now that I know about it.
Oh, did you not think it was cool before you knew about it? You were like, "Oh, what is this crap?" Or like, what?
Well, I like to reserve judgment.
Right.
It might be cool, it might be not. I have to check it out for myself.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely, totally. There's a lot of different aspects to this campaign. The website is oddsinourfavor.org, and in the Hunger Games they say, "May the odds be ever in your favor," and it's clearly a sarcastic statement because the odds are not in your favor. At oddsinourfavor.org, we're looking at the United States and how the United States has been branded as a place where the odds are in your favor. But that, if that ever was the case, it is no longer the case, and we're trying to turn that around. So we did that last year, and one of the things we're doing this year is a hashtag, a hashtag My Hunger Games. If you go onto Twitter and you search hashtag My Hunger Games, the stories that I am reading here are just astounding. We have a lot of different participants, people from Fight for 15 and Fast Food Forward and Our Walmart. They're participating with stories of workers that are truly incredible and brave and harrowing. And then we have people that are not coming from any organization. Some of them are members of our organization, fans of Harry Potter and the Hunger Games. A lot of our members that I've been working with for years, so I've always assumed, our members are a fairly privileged group of people. They're not going to have anything too compelling to say about this, so we're going to have to cast a wide net. And while it's great that we're casting a wide net, it turns out that our members have been saying some truly interesting and heartbreaking and harrowing things. It seems to me that, and I've said this many times before, but I've been taken by just how true this is, that the first rule of classism in America is don't talk about classism. And
Right.
the hashtag...
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
just,
I think that's right. So the hashtag My Hunger Games, I mean, people are seem to be connecting to it in terms of a way to access. You also had a hashtag, I don't know if you're still using it, "We Are the Districts," meaning the districts in the Hunger Games that are exploited by the corporate centralized government. Are you still using that one too?
we are, in fact, so when people hashtag My Hunger Games, the ones that we find the most compelling, our team puts on our Tumblr, which we're using as our blog for this, which is wearethedistricts.tumblr.com. The odds in our favor. There is a section where you can click to go to We Are the Districts, and that highlights a lot of the most compelling things that are being written in the hashtag My Hunger Games. And what we're really seeing here is, this idea. It is true that the first rule of classism in America is don't talk about classism, because the second that you give people permission, and the hashtag almost acts as a protection charm, if you will, to break that rule, and what people that I work with and who I know are saying about growing up, living outside, like living in and out of a car, situations where their father had to pick between giving them lunch money or gas money so he would walk to work. There stories of divorce and how that's affected people's families, stories of getting into college or of the sacrifices that are made to pay student loans. It is amazing how willing people have been to share and to be vulnerable. And something changes instantly when that happens. A lot of us in progressive circles, we throw out these statistics about economic inequality and how many people are living below the poverty line or near the poverty line, or the fact that 1% owns 40% of the economy, all this stuff. Those statistics have consequences, and this hashtag of hashtag My Hunger Games has really been bringing out what those consequences really look like from a level of head and from a level of heart.
Well, and I think we can talk a little bit more about how this has managed to connect to the heart. And by the way, one of the things that convinced me, besides the overall coolness of the project that you're doing, one of the things that convinced me, when I first heard, well, Harry Potter Alliance, I haven't read the books and all that. We've talked about that, but you raise a lot of money for one thing, and for another, a lot of people get involved. And I'm curious your thoughts. My theory is because we're storytelling animals, human beings,
Mm-hmm.
and we connect to, I mean, something like the Hunger Games. We connect to it because it's an individual story where all you can see radiating out from it, all the economic implications and all the freedom implications and all those things, but it's told through the perspective of one pair of eyes.
Yes. Yes.
So I is that why you think this has resonated? Why you think people are sending you these amazing stories and everything?
Well, I I sort of say this like a broken record, that fiction is not an escape from our world, but an invitation to go deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we see with our greatest storytellers is they resonate deeply with people's actual experiences, almost as like we dream at night, but our books and our TV shows and our movies that are most popular, that's our culture's dreaming. That's our culture
Mm-hmm.
processing what's going on. So when we look at that, we're doing cultural dream work, and when we use that, when we use our most popular stories, I call it cultural acupuncture. We find where the energy is in the culture and move that energy authentically to create a healthier body for our world. And stories are the needles; they're the things that resonate. But of course, there's more than the story of Katniss Everdeen. There's the story of you and me, and there's the story of we, a story of us coming together, and the story of what we need to do right now. But I do think that one of the things that makes Katniss such a powerful character is that she has such a strong sense of integrity for the people that she loves, and she's flawed, and she's confused like all of us. She doesn't come into the book as an activist, regardless of the fact that she has faced enormous economic oppression. She hasn't analyzed it like that. She's just survived. Her
Right,
father was killed. Yeah.
and we're talking with Andrew Slack of the My Hunger Games campaign and Harry Potter Alliance. She's brought into it because because she wants to protect her sister and from being thrown into the Hunger Games, if I recall correctly. And
Mm-hmm.
I love this phrase you used, cultural dream work, because one of the things that you do in therapy or dream work is your dreams are you trying to process things that are happening to you and put it in context. And if the story like this one, I think it has resonated so much because it gives meaning to the individual struggles that people are experiencing. So I have to tell you, for example, I had trouble bringing myself to watch the second Hunger Games because it's like the unfairness of the whole premise, that she's won,
Mm-hmm.
she's made it. And then they they retroactively decide, well, she's got to go back in. It's like, I'm sensitive. I mean, people don't realize this about me,
Yeah.
but I get very sensitive. And it's like, I can't handle that. I can't put myself through that. But I guess the idea is you get a resolution and that's how you heal, right?
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, the kind of social change that the Hunger Games highlights is a few steps forward and a few steps back, and that's unfortunately, how it seems to go in our world. And before she even enters the games, before her sister is called out of the lottery system, because the premise comes from the classic short story, The Lottery. This
Right.
idea before that part even happens, she doesn't really reflect on the fact, like, why did her dad, the only option he had for a job was working in a coal mine? There were no other options. And
Right.
and why was there no union protection to ensure that the coal mines were safe? And then when her dad died, that the family was given nothing, and that her mother, who's basically a domestic care worker slash nurse, is not given any health care or mental health care. And so when her husband is suddenly killed in a coal mine accident, she falls into depression, and the family has no food. There's no
Right.
SNAP, there's no food stamps, and now they're facing starvation. And it's up to Katniss to figure out how to get them food. And she does that by breaking the law and leaving the boundary of District 12 and going to hunt. She doesn't reflect on any of those things, and there's a parallel to every single one of those things. And when we go over to District 11, we find out, Katniss is surrounded by white people in District 12 who are poor and oppressed, but she was able to break the law because there wasn't a strong police presence. But in District 11, where everyone is black, if she was in a similar scenario, she never would have been able to go out and hunt because there are police everywhere, and it's highly militarized. And we begin seeing a critique on the way the disproportionate kind of policing that is done to communities of color and the structural racism there that we're seeing again and again now, thanks to social media and a number of other factors. What we're seeing, what's being revealed regarding the murder of Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin
Right.
is what many people have been talking about. Has been going on for a very, very long time. So,
Now,
so
it
he
almost
hits on that as
seems,
well.
yeah, it almost seems, Andrew Slack, as if uh, Ferguson is in District 11.
I would say so. We've actually we were having this discussion, and we were saying we don't want to overstep our bounds when it comes to Ferguson. This is, we're really looking to the organizers in Ferguson to give us clues on what to do next, but we're all waiting very tensely to find out what the grand jury is going to decide.
Well, of
And
course.
so we're having this whole conversation, but what is it that we can do? And somebody brought up the District 11 parallel, and then someone else took that, and one of our volunteers, who's just a total genius, she took images from the movie of police brutality in District 11 against communities of color, and then juxtaposed it to images in Ferguson. And then our graphic designer, Acacia, put them together in this beautiful meme. And it's so harrowing because it's really hard to tell the difference between District 11, where the police brutality is happening, and the images in Ferguson. So when your dystopian future is your dystopian present, you've got a problem.
Well, and I think that's also the power of storytelling. When a dystopian future represents the present, then it's doing its work. And then the storytelling is doing its work, and you're amplifying that. So when we come back from break, we'll have more with Andrew Slack about My Hunger Games, and maybe we'll have a little fun too. This is Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour. And we are back on the Zero Hour. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and we're talking with Andrew Slack, multi-talented comedian, writer, generator, and architect of memes. Harry Potter Alliance is his creation, and now he's working on the My Hunger Games communication strategy. What would you call it, My Hunger Games? Is it a campaign? Is it a meme generating thing? Is it people sitting around a campfire? Is it what is it exactly?
Well, I think we're all continually sitting around a campfire. I think that's a good question. That's a good image, actually. So to evade that question for just a second, I think going back through human history, we've told stories in front of campfires, and now with digital media, the campfire has become everywhere. So we're telling personal stories, we're telling fiction stories. And as for what we call this, the official name of the campaign is Odds in Our Favor. The website's oddsinourfavor.org. The blog is We Are the Districts, wearethedistricts.tumblr.com. But the meme that we're going for, the hashtag that we're going for is My Hunger Games, because everyone has a story of their Hunger Games, even if it's a story of privilege. We live in a world that is interconnected. Dr. King continued to emphasize, nobody gets out from that interconnected web. We're all in this together. So hashtag My Hunger Games is our way of telling our stories of triumph, tribulation, in regards to class and economic inequality.
Well, that works for me. And I guess, by the way, speaking of interconnected, I saw on your blog or on your website, I can't remember which, the protesters from Thailand who were protesting the dictatorship there, who were using the three-fingered salute and told you our stories are what did they say? Our stories are nonfiction, something like that. It was really, really very cool.
It's a really powerful thing what's going on in Thailand, and it's kind of unbelievable that it's back in the news in the way that it is. We heard about this last year, or in the beginning of the year with protesters protesting the military junta in Thailand, using the three-finger salute, it being outlawed, and then it coming back again. I'm trying to pull that up right now, that quote, because she did such an amazing job, this young woman that I work with, Anna. Let's see, just to quote from her, in the Hunger Games, Katniss transforms the three-fingered salute into a symbol of revolution and rebellion against the tyrannical capital. Now, before I go any further with that, we've had three-finger salutes from Senator Elizabeth Warren, from Rich Trump, from the president of the AFL-CIO, Rich Trumpka, and on and on. And now, and now when the Walmart protests are happening on Black Friday next week, and when the fast food protests are happening the week after, on December 4th, workers are going to be doing three-finger salutes and have expressed a lot of excitement to the organizers that they have a chance to be part of this movie moment where the movie and their own lives, they get to be the heroes. And I've been in experiences before with union organizers where their kids are so excited, the workers' kids, fast food workers' kids, are so excited that their parents are being compared to the heroes in the story that they love. It's not very often that society tips the hat to their parents.
No, absolutely, and makes it. And we all want to make our parents heroes at some point in our life. And by the way, Rich Trumpka, of who I've interviewed, is he's from District 12. He's the former United Mine Workers president. And by the way, I just interviewed a monk who's the leading dissident activist in Thailand. I wish I'd known about the three-finger salute. But listen, I just briefly, I'm curious to know what your take is on the fact that some Tea Partiers think that this Hunger Games narrative is for them. Somehow they get the idea that, I guess because it's a hostile capital or something, they take it as an anti-federal government message.
Yeah, and I've had conversations before with Tea Partiers. One of them, Mark Meckler, he's a co-founder of Tea Party Patriots, and he's a nice guy, by the way. I don't happen to agree with him on many things, but I do like him. I mean, I think that Mark's the real deal. I think he means what he's saying, and I think he wants what's best. But I just don't happen to agree with him. He looks at the Hunger Games as a story of government overreach, and that's a very easy, and ultimately, the left and the right have interpreted Shakespeare and have done a terrific job of defending Shakespeare, through their own interpretations and lenses. That's good literature. We all take what we want from it. This notion that the capital is overreaching is an absurd insinuation when it comes to the United States, because if you want to see what government overreach is, go over to Thailand. If you want to be a Tea Party protester, go to Thailand. Like, go there. That's where there's government overreach. Our government is at this point of, by, and for the corporations who have somehow become people. They're considered people, and so the government overreach that we're experiencing isn't the government as defined by our founders. It's the government that is bought by corporations. So there's a difference, and I think that Mark and other Tea Partiers would do well with their anti-government rhetoric in a place where government oppression is real.
Yeah, meaning they do well, meaning that's where the anti-government rhetoric would fit, not here.
It fits perfectly, and I think what fits perfectly here is looking at the notion of corporations overreaching and and really going beyond what our founders had envisioned for this country. As Anna puts it here, quote, in our own Hunger Games in the U.S., we protest the tyranny of the corporations that grip our lives and livelihoods in their economic fists. We protest the systems that, oh my God, I'm embarrassed here. Mental block here, recapitulate historical, racial, and class divides, as in Ferguson. We protest the puppet masters of our media, such as Lionsgate, which spends $140 million on a film that highlights the power of revolution, but leaves its interns penniless, which, by the way, is a whole phenomenal campaign that people should be checking out, where the interns are standing up and saying, "I will not volunteer as tribute." At Lionsgate, it's really incredible, and that's a whole campaign around ending unpaid internships, which we're also in partnership with. Back to Anna, our U.S. reality is that the corporations are our capital. However, in Thailand, the conceit of Hunger Games as metaphor sins. Revolutionaries and protesters employ the three-fingered salute in open rebellion against the military government that took power by coup in May. The military has claimed that the coup was necessary to bring peace and stability to Thailand following violent political clashes. Sounds similar to the Capitol? Amnesty International claims that the military government has engaged in human rights violations, including, quote, arbitrary detentions and a clampdown on free speech. Thailand's military is what happened. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to cut you off just to say we're talking with Andrew Slack. That when I interviewed the Thai monk, he said that the comparisons between Thailand and the United States government were striking to him. He said after spending a month here, he was convinced we didn't have a working democracy. He was convinced that, as in Thailand, the corporations controlled the government, and the government acted solely on behalf of the corporations. So to me, Anna's letter underscores the metaphor that I would say you and I both read in the Hunger Games, which is that of a fractionated and divided population whom the government is neither serving nor representing, but instead the government uses its centralized command and control capabilities on behalf of the wealthy and powerful. That's a valid interpretation, don't you think?
I mean, absolutely. But of course, there's always going to be some people who get through poverty and become wealthy, and our corporate capital will use those people as the examples for everyone else is saying everything's fine just so long as everyone works hard. I want to quote President Snow, who is one of the villains in the story from the first movie, talking to the gamekeeper, the head of the Hunger Games. He says, "Why do you think we have a winner?" And the gamekeeper says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I mean, why do we have a winner? I mean, if we just wanted to intimidate the districts, why not round up 24 of them at random and execute them all at once? Be a lot faster." And President Snow says the answer is hope. Hope. It's the only thing stronger than fear. A little hope is effective. A lot of hope is dangerous. A spark is fine as long as it's contained. So contain it.
That is terrific. I mean, that really communicates what we're trying to say. But Andrew Slack of I forget again the name of the website you're directing everybody to.
It's hashtag My Hunger Games on social media, and our website is oddsinourfavor.org.
Odds in our favor. Now, we're going to do something a little different, because the last time you came on this show, you did your using the words to Disney theme songs and delivering them as an Obama speech, which is very funny and fits perfectly. And I made you a promise. And the promise was that I would reverse engineer what you had done, and I would take the words of an Obama speech and set them to Disney music. So
no, really? Are you really?
I just did it. I just spent a few minutes this morning. Okay, I just spent a few minutes, but I found something that I think might work, and we're going to try it live and on the air, to my potential humiliation. But I would say, first of all, that most people probably remember this Disney song. Can you hear that?
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay, When You Wish Upon a Star, everybody's favorite. Okay, then I went to the speech that Barack Obama. Now I'm having some asthma problems, so it may slow me down a little. But I went to the speech that Barack Obama gave on November 6th, 2012, the night of the election, and I pulled out I just took a couple minutes. No, these are all words that Obama spoke. Sometimes I removed connecting phrases and so on, just to see how. So let's try it together. This is a tough tune. I'm not sure I can get it exactly right, but so you can hear the back. We'll just so Barack Obama, November 6th, 2012, victory speech on the night of that 2012 election. Let's see how it goes. If you're willing to work hard. Yeah, or that's the phrase I can't get. If you're willing to work hard, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you look like, where you live. Doesn't matter whether you're young or old or gay or straight, you can make it here in America. You want more? We are not as divided as our politics suggest, or as cynical as the pundits would have us believe. We remain more than red states and blue states. We are the United States of America. How did that work?
Whoa, that was amazing. That was RJ. That was incredible.
I totally screwed up the melody, but you see, I couldn't get that 3-note phrase, and then that threw me off. But you see how well it works. It's fascinating. You discovered this. So before we go, give us a little bit of Barack Obama delivering give us a little reprise of Barack Obama delivering a Disney theme song as a speech.
I absolutely will. Can I just say one thing about the brilliance that you just did, though?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, first of all, "When You Wish Upon a Star" is one of my favorite songs. It was my grandmother's favorite song, and it's something we shared a lot together. And I think that while there's a lot of satire in all of this and fun to be had, I don't think that this analysis of Obama and Disney songs should resort to cynicism, because and the reason I think that is, while it is true that many of us progressives have plenty of reasons to be very frustrated, disappointed, angry with the president for a number of reasons, sometimes happy, but plenty of reasons to be disappointed. The thing we should really remember is the enthusiasm that the president created in 2008. And it's an enthusiasm that is different than a lot of the kind of even though this campaign has some anger to it, hashtag My Hunger Games and odds in our favor, ultimately what we want to do is speak the language of mythology and symbol. And it's really important that we remember that as activists and as organizers, that one of the successes of Disney, now Disney as a corporation has done some pretty horrible things, but as far as their stories go, which also are often problematic, the reason why they resonate so deeply, though, is that it pulls on the heartstrings of something that is very real, not fake, but real, which is this wish for magic in our world, this wish to be where the people are, to be part of the circle of life, to wish upon a star and to have your dreams come true. And until we as progressives begin understanding that it's not just our dystopias that we need to focus on, but our utopian vision for a better tomorrow and a better today, we can't tap into what we in the HPA call the civic imagination. this ability to imagine better, this ability to imagine beyond the status quo, to create new neural pathways in the brain, the heart, the spirit. And Obama did that in 2008 very successfully. And I think that we as organizers, we as progressives, we need to focus on not only what we're against, but what we're for and why we're for it. And to really talk about it. Yeah.
And I will add one thing to what you said, which I love everything you said. And I will add one thing to it that I think it's really important for progressives and idealists to separate whatever disappointment they may have with the president from an understanding that the fact that he became president was because he tapped into something beautiful and idealistic in the heart of the American people. And that something is still there waiting to be tapped, which is why I like to highlight work like yours, because whatever you think of the president, his election was a triumph of hope and idealism and a kind of inner beauty over the cynicism we had experienced in the years leading up to it. And we can make that happen again.
Yeah, and so that candidate in 2008 that stood for so many of us, that multiracial global citizen candidate who said, fired up and ready to go, change we can believe in, yes, we can, that spirit is still very much alive, regardless of the fact the man that entered office, for whatever the reasons, and there will be plenty of books describing it, gave up a lot of that kind of imagery when
right,
he was
or he tapped
it,
or whatever it was. But let's take whatever it is he tapped it and use it to a positive purpose. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. Give us one sentence of Obama doing, just one sentence of Obama doing a Disney theme song, and we'll sign off.
RJ, when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires can come to you.
Well said, and we'll have to leave it there, Mr. President. Andrew Slack, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.